Tripura Rahasya Mahatmya Kanda. Chapter 24.
Hearing this story, flowing like a stream of Amrita, Jamadagni once again began to ask about the previous narrative. O Holy Guru, Ocean of Mercy, by listening to the story you have told, all my sorrows, delusions, and fears have vanished. I am not at all satisfied from listening to your story. After the victory over Madana, for what reason did people on earth begin making offerings to the gods? How was Lord Shankara defeated by Kama, and how did he, having been turned to ashes, come back to life? Tell me everything about this. To the questions asked by Rama, Dattatreya, the supreme guru, the best of teachers, the greatest storyteller, spoke to Jamadagni. O great sage Jamadagni, listen to the answers to your questions in order.
The disciple asks questions, the guru answers. The disciple gradually adopts the guru's point of view, the guru's vision. This is the transmission of the view, Jnana Drishti. At first, it is mental, conceptual. It is learning to think like the guru. His way of thinking is very, I emphasize, very different from the way the disciple thinks. It is a chasm, but gradually, this chasm is bridged thanks to Shravana, listening. It's not that the guru thinks in some particular way, and it is related to any guru. I'm talking about Dattatreya, about Parasurama, about myself, about any guru. It's not that the disciple thinks one way and the guru thinks in some special, lofty way with some kind of otherworldly thoughts. The difference is profound in the sense that the guru tattva essentially abides beyond thought, beyond concepts, in the emptiness of awareness. So the difference isn't about having some other kinds of thoughts, but rather about the complete absence of thoughts, spontaneous, intuitive awareness and action arising from it. That's what makes the difference. But since the disciple can't understand this right away, explanations are given in words and thoughts. This is called Shravana. And the purpose of Shravana is to put God at the center, to place God at the center of our lives. The events described in the Itihasas, Puranas, Agamas, and Tantras are not myths. These are real events, but they take place on many dimensions. They can't be judged in a human, superficial way. These are multidimensional events happening simultaneously in the microcosm, the macrocosm, and in the world of the gods, and in the world of humans. And in each of these worlds, this event is reflected and interpreted in its own way. And the student gradually adopts the guru's point of view. The thing is, the student's consciousness is stuck in Maya, stuck in samsara. And to become free, he will have to choose either this stuck consciousness or Shravana. The guru's instruction, the guru's point of view, and the guru's perspective does not differ from that of the Shastras, scriptures, the gods, and the saints. It is a guide. It's not like the guru has some kind of exclusive, super special opinion of his own that you have to figure out. No. This is the perspective of Amnaya, the lineage of transmission. That is in Dharma. Generally speaking, there is no such principle as having your own opinion, especially at the initial stage of learning. There is the opinion of the Sampradaya, the Amnaya, that is, the lineage of transmission and the collections of sacred texts. And the guru is someone who is well versed in them. Just like a lawyer doesn't really have a personal opinion as a lawyer, he relies on the general legislation, right? He is very well versed in the law and provides qualified legal services to those who don't understand the laws. But you can't say that a lawyer comes up with his own administrative code. Well, that's impossible. He operates within the framework of existing laws and principles. It's the same thing here. But since a person isn't knowledgeable, well, they kind of have to trust the lawyer and rely on them. It's pretty much the same with Dharma. But besides, when a lawyer presents a certain perspective based on his knowledge, a person acts from a layperson's mentality, from a layperson's way of thinking. And the lawyer tells him how he should act. It's the same with the principle of the guru. The guru tells you how to act from the perspective of the laws of the universe, the laws of existence, so you don't end up in hell. So you don't get reborn in the human world again, don't end up in the world of hungry ghosts, don't end up in the world of asuras, or even in the world of samsaric gods, and so you can attain liberation. So how should you act correctly? There are laws, they already exist. They're called Dharma, and in Slavic culture, does anyone know what else they're called? Vedas? But Vedas are the knowledge, so it is called Khan. So it's believed that all the sorcerers, magicians, and wizards act according to the Khan. That is, the ancestral law. They honor the Khan. And a lot of it overlaps with Dharma. This resonates with the Dharma and hospitality itself, the exchange of energy for what you receive, responsibility for your decisions and words. Basically, it's the same Dharma, only we're dealing with divine laws. We explain to souls how to live the right way, how to think and act in order to rise to higher worlds, because we also exist within the space of laws. But these aren't human laws, not laws invented in administrative codes, but the laws of the universe. And here the source is Shiva and his higher gods. This is all much more serious, way more serious. And the soul, it obeys. It can think whatever it wants, but it still obeys them. by the very factors of reincarnation and life in the body. And here, trust, faith, is needed so that the student can choose between their own worldview, which, in fact, isn't really theirs, but is woven together. From the media, television, upbringing, school, education, family, and so on, and the laws of the universe between this and that. And until such a choice is made, the soul cannot walk the path of liberation. A choice absolutely must be made. What do we believe in? This is where faith begins. And right now, it's especially important to literally be guided by Dharma, to constantly be guided by Dharma, because Maya is very strong and samsara is very strong. If a person doesn't read texts every day, doesn't listen to satsangs, but instead watches TV, watches YouTube, reads the news, then they will fall into seduction. If they haven't developed, in fact, a point of view based on Dharma. After all, disciples often write to me. One says, "Guru, I spent 12 years playing a computer game. Only now have I finally come to my senses." Or sometimes they write, "Guru, I spent 10 years in endless arguments on social media. Although I don't even know what I was arguing about. I can't even remember. For what?" Or they write something else. "I spent 3 years watching YouTube videos for 12 hours a day." In other words, people just drop out of reality, being completely, tightly gripped by reality itself. This is Maya. This is illusion. And if the soul lacks detachment in vairagya, a foundation in the sacred texts, especially now, when Maya has become so tenacious, concentrated, and captivating, with all these moha cities, the cities of delusion, it's very easy to fall into any kind of illusion. Cognitive distortions, cognitive flaws, cognitive dissonances, various kinds. Even Parasurama himself was in such a state. For years, for decades, he waged wars. He wiped out 22 generations of kshatriyas. What kind of state of mind do you have to be in to do that? To circle the earth 22 times, to wipe out all the castes, classes, and clans of the kshatriyas. Just uproot it completely. He came to Dattatreya because he was already tired of all this and couldn't bear it inside himself anymore. He repented for all of it and realized all the illusions. And Dattatreya began to tell him the story of Sri Tripura, to inspire him and show that behind all his battles with the Kshatriyas stood the subtle energies of the gods, a subtle struggle. This is an expression of struggle, the struggle of the mind, the struggle of the senses, the struggle of the ego, the struggle of awareness. But what lies behind that, even more subtle? It is the power of Tripura, the primordial energy, the power of Brahman, which does not struggle, but instead fills everyone with happiness and love. It is the lower, diluted parts of ourself that struggle.
Guruji, that's exactly the question here. It's precisely the coarse energy, the coarse Shakti that grabs the consciousness more and, in a way, gives more energy. There's this kind of excitement, all that stuff. But the subtle Dharma, it's all so delicate. And happiness, yes, it's there, but you have to make a tremendous effort to stay in that state all the time.
That's why a disciple, through Shravana, must cultivate a taste for listening to the scriptures. He begins to live with the subtle energies of the sacred, writings and philosophy, of the mythology of the Puranas, the Agamas, the Itihasas. He develops a taste for conversations about Brahman, about the subtle levels of the divine. Such a taste must be cultivated over years. If it isn't instilled, there will always be a taste for worldly concerns, for worldly news, for worldly conversations, for worldly experiences and emotions. Such a taste must be cultivated over years. If it isn't instilled, there will always be a taste for samsaric concerns, for samsaric news, conversations, for samsaric experiences. And at the center of all the mythology, Sanatana Dharma, the Puranas, the Itihasas, is God. It is always about God, and after death, the soul will not be asked what you did, what you achieved, how much money you made, what fame you gained, what recognition you received, or what ideology you promoted. It will be asked, did you love me? Asked by God, did you know me? Did you come closer to me as a result of your life? And that's all. And the purpose of reading the scriptures is to draw closer to God, to awaken devotion to God. And Parasurama asks Dattatreya, and he has no other choice but to accept Dattatreya's vision, to accept point of view of Dattatreya. In the same way, when a disciple embarks on the path of learning from a guru, he has to make a choice between the worldly perspective and the teaching. The instructions of the guru, the instructions of the scriptures. Between your local culture, between your own upbringing, education, and on the other hand, the teaching. A choice. What do you believe in more? To put it simply, what do you trust more? It is actually a lot like in that classic joke, you know? It is about Haja Nasreddin, or rather, the neighbor of Haja Nasreddin asked him for a horse to go to town. And Haja Nasreddin said, "Of course, I would have lent it to you," the neighbor asked in the evening. "But at lunchtime, my wife had already gone to town on that same horse, so it's not here." The next day, in the morning, the neighbor came to him again, and in the stable, the horse neighed treacherously. The neighbor was surprised and said, "What's this then? But you said your wife left on the horse." Haja Nasreddin looked at him and said, "Who do you believe, me or the horse?" And often, the guru finds himself in the role of such a Haja Nasreddin, because this is the horse of this fleeting world. It is always neighing, and we believe to what can be perceived by our senses. News, information, propaganda. Informational content in huge quantities. Monks, they're isolated, they more or less keep themselves in check. But out in the world, it's just non-stop consumption of information. And here, a sadhu must fill his mind correctly, choose the right direction when absorbing information, and take it in with understanding and trust, like Parasurama to Dattatreya. Any questions?
Guruji, I wanted to add that in this period of Kali Yuga, there's actually one small advantage, that disappointment itself comes. You look around, and it's like this wave of disappointment washes over you, like everyone is lying, everything is distorted, and you get overwhelmed by it. The four awarenesses seize every part of your body.
Yes, that's well said. Disappointment is an inevitable quality of sadhu. Without disappointment in the meanings, values, and goals of samsara, it's impossible to detach from them. Maya is like a witch, enchanting, alluring, but slipping a bewitched powder into your food for her own purposes. You need to keep your distance from a witch like that. Don't let your guard down around her. You always have to keep her at arm's length. Maya isn't such a harmless energy. If a person lets her into their soul, she will drain them completely to the very last drop. She'll turn them inside out, dry them up, drain all their energy, and then leave them old, sick, worn out, and toss them out of life. It's merciless. That's samsara. That's what Maya does to people, to living beings. But if a sadhu keeps her at a distance, to recognize her as pure, empty, primordial, not to react to her, but to recognize not just the emptiness, but the play of energy, he will see her differently. She will appear before him not as Maya, but as Tripura Sundari. But to see her this way, one must transcend Maya, transcend samsara. So, Maya and Tripura Sundari are two facets of the same divine reality. One of them is the true one. It is Tripura, and Maya is the reflection in a deluded mind.
This idahasa about the past is beautiful and brings happiness. After the victory over Kama, the Lord of the heavens, freed from captivity, returned to his city together with the ageless gods. And there he sat with the gods, just as before. As long as Varavrata remained king on earth, the Lord of the gods was allied with him. After some time, Shakra, surrounded by the assembly of gods, appeared in Satyaloka and paid his respects to Vithi together with the gods. Vithi looked at Shakra, who had come with the gods, and said with a gentle, deep voice full of compassion, "O Lord of the gods, rise. What do you need? Speak without delay, and I will teach you how to attain happiness." Hearing these words from Vithi, the Lord of the gods rose and, with his palms joined at his chest, began to speak, surrounded by the gods. "O progenitor, previously, at your command, we appeased Mahalakshmi, and she sent Kama to us so that we might achieve our goal. But he was defeated by Varavrata and was captured along with the host of gods. Later, he was released by the word of his guru, who was well-versed in Dharma. After that, this time was spent in friendship with him. But even now, mortals in the earthly world do not offer sacrifices to the gods. So, for advice, I have come here together with the gods, and I will do everything according to your counsel, along with the gods." After hearing Shakra's words, the Creator fell into contemplation for a moment. Then Brahma said to Shatamaka, "Listen carefully. Now people have no need to offer sacrifices because they lack desire. But listen, I will show you one solution. I will make you the king of rain, Lord of the gods. As soon as sacrifices are offered to you in the mortal world, you shall send rain. Right now, the clouds that bring rain are free. And from time to time, by my command, they send rain. From now on, they will all obey to you, Lord of the gods." Thus, Indra became the king of rain, and people who wished for rain began to offer sacrifices to the gods. And so, from that time on, sacrifice was established in the mortal world. Now, let me tell you how Kama defeated Mahadeva, after Lakshmi and Bhavani made peace.
So, Kama was defeated by Varavrata by the power of the king's vow. By sheer willpower, the gods were defeated, Indra and the others were captured and then released, and after that, peace was established between humans and the gods. This means between the human and divine nature, or more precisely, between the gross karma indriyas and jnana indriyas and their subtle nature as divine sources. Balance was established, harmony was achieved. But since Kama was defeated, people had no desires, and they weren't very inclined to perform sacrifices or follow the spiritual path, that is, to move toward the subtle nature. That's why Indra was given the authority to grant rain, so that people would perform yajnas, sacrifices, and in this way, at least, practice Dharma. They became connected to subtle divine energies.
Kama, standing with his hands folded at his chest, turned to his mother. "O mother, tell me, how can I defeat Mahadeva? If there is no way, then I will leave my body before you." For people of honor, when honor is lost, the only thing left is to die. Now, while the worlds believe that I am immortal in battle, let them think so, but it is better for me not to live. Hearing Kama's words, Lakshmi instantly entered into meditation. Then, bowing to Tripura and looking at Kama, she said, "O Kama, now I will reveal to you the supreme secret, by which you will attain perfection and defeat everyone in battle. You must not share it with anyone out of ignorance, for its greatness is such that even Shiva and others will become subject to you. It quickly brings satisfaction to the goddess Tripura. I myself attained this before through service to Kameshwari. I will tell you the 108 names of the goddess. Come to me quickly after touching the river Viraja, O Manmatha. Hearing Rama's words, Kama, his eyes full of delight, touched the waters of the Viraja and appeared before her, pure and with a bow.
Thus Kama, as the embodiment of ego, was created by Lakshmi through divine will so that the soul could follow the path of liberation, the path of spiritual development. That is, people performed sacrifices to the gods, but he was possessed by various dualistic ideas. Ideas like meeting to defeat Shiva, even though he didn't know him. Ideas about his own honor, and so on. All these are dualistic, selfish ideas that people can also be possessed by. And yet his mother said, "All right, I'll give you a practice. Here are the 108 names of Tripura, through which you can become as strong as Shiva and maybe even defeat him." Driven by this motivation, he threw himself into studying it. This is called deceptive knowledge. The tradition of deceptive knowledge is very ancient. Buddha also spoke about it, and one of his epithets of praise was as skilled in deceptive knowledge. Deceptive knowledge means a hook that can catch us by our selfish motives, by our dualistic perception, at least somehow attaching us to God in the divine Dharma. And then this deceptive knowledge, once it has worked, it's no longer needed. It falls away. That is, we have motives within us, and it's through certain motives that we can latch on and step onto the path of Dharma. For example, if a person is very proud, they might latch onto the Advaita Vedanta view to stroke their own pride. After all, I can be not just some kind of arrogant person, but I can be a meta, maha, ultra, super, mega, ultimate proud person. I can be Brahmin and claim it with full religious authority, relying on philosophical texts and the Mahavakya, Aham Brahmasmi. Well, you could latch onto your pride like that for your whole life for that. And other people, as well, they're not inclined toward abstract sadhana, but rather toward a more down-to-earth kind of pride. They might think the same thing. I can be not just successful, outstanding, important, powerful, and wealthy, but I can be a deity with my own universe, in an illusory body, with mega attributes, a divine palace, full of divine pride and dharma. Possessing artificial means she hooks us by our kleshas, and that's why there is divine pride, the thing that elevates our pride to the level of the divine. And if a person is attached to palaces, summer homes, or houses, they're told, visualize a divine palace, and it becomes your own imperishable real estate. And if someone is attached to all sorts of little things, trinkets, rings, accessories, jewelry, they're told, look, you have 2 earrings, you have a 3 mala, such are bracelets. Each bracelet also possesses magical power. So they visualize it as a divine attribute. And if a person wants to have, say, their own plot of land, some territory of their own island, their own lands, some kind of ancestral estate, and they want it to be protected so that no one else can get in, only them. They say, you should visualize the fiery circle, visualize the universal flame, the Vajra wind, the Vajra fire, the Vajra river, the palisade of arrows, the Vajra tent. This is done very thoroughly. Tantric visualizations are worked out in great detail in the texts. And visualize your own pure lands, divine groves with beautiful ponds, goddesses of offerings, and a palace there. And all of this is yours. So take possession of it. Create. This is how artificial methods of Dharma sublimate all our human kleshas, all our tendencies, transforming them into the path of enlightenment. It's the same at the moment of dying, the encounter with clear light. In deity yoga, in the yoga of the illusory body, this is the moment of the completion stage, like Rama, when everything dissolves and there is only emptiness and light. And the moment of emerging from this light, of new rebirth, is the moment of visualizing the seed syllable and arising from the seed syllable in the form of the deity. All the detailed descriptions of kleshas, attachments, they become the spiritual path, spiritual practice.
Guruji, this path, when kleshas are used as the path, it's only used at later stages, right? So Kama went through this path earlier, is that correct? For example, did he go through this in his past lives?
It's all more complicated with Kama. Kama is the mind-born son of Lakshmi. He never went through anything at all. He was a deity from the very beginning. He's a part of Lakshmi. He didn't need to practice, take diksha, or become a disciple. He was just born that way.
Or maybe he needed to be told that he could end up in hell because of his actions.
No way is he going to hell. He's the son of Lakshmi. He's immortal. There are its own laws there, different laws already. Divine grace often operates there, the sankalpa, intention of the gods. He's liberated from the start. He's immortal from the start. He's free from karma from the start. But there's a tiny shadow of misunderstanding, right?
Then Lakshmi devotedly performed worship to the great goddess, as is fitting, established in a precious pitha, with desired offerings. Then, calling Kama, Rama placed the prasad from Tripura into his folded palms. And she recited the 108 names of the goddess to him, and told him of the beauty of her dense body. Having attained this, Kama prostrated before his mother, received her blessing with palms folded at his chest, and with a sense of duty fulfilled. Madana said to his mother, "O mother, give me your command, and I shall go to propitiate the great sovereign Tripura, the patroness of the Trimurti." Thus entreating her and receiving permission, he, bowing to his mother, with devotion in his heart contemplating the lotus feet of Tripura, set out for the divine caves of Mount Mandara. There, beside a stream of pure sweet water, at the roots of a kadamba tree, he sat in an auspicious place. Having performed ablutions and sitting there, and contemplating the image of the goddess in the lotus of his heart, honoring her with mental offerings in the manner described by Rama, he repeated with supreme devotion the 108 names of Mother Tripura. By the daily recitation of the 108 names and their contemplation, Parambika became pleased. Then in a dream she appeared in the form of Rama to Madana and spoke in a voice full of sweet honey.
In the form of Rama means in the form of Lakshmi. Madana means Kama.
My son, Kama, why repeat the names over and over again? Without attaining my vidya, how can you achieve what you desire? Hearing this and bowing, he spoke with palms folded at his chest.
Vidya is a Shakti of the mantra. Male mantras are called mantras in Tantra, while female ones are called vidyas. This is mantras of female deities.
Oh, Mother, this vidya is unknown to me. You have not revealed it before. Graciously reveal it to me, who has surrendered to you, O the one full of grace. To this the Supreme Mistress said to Kama, being filled with mercy, "Oh, my son, even now she is unknown to you, just as the moon is to a blind man." In this stotra, this vidya is hidden, consisting of 15 syllables.
There is a famous 15-syllable vidya, in which the student successively receives initiation, a transmission. First, he receives the transmission in the upasana of Bala Tripura Sundari. Bala Tripura Sundari in the form of an 8-year-old girl, whose mantra is Om, Aim Klim Sa. And she personifies the spiritual seeker at the dawn of their youth, open, sincere, full of energy and enthusiasm. Then comes the turn of honoring the 15-year-old Tripura Sundari. And, accordingly, the transmission into her mantra. And then comes the process of transmission of the 15-syllable mantra, the main mantra, Panchami Vidya, described in the Tantras, to achieve the highest siddhis. After mastering Panchami Vidya, the student also receives transmissions into 16-syllable, 17-syllable, and various mantras of action. This is how the process of transmission of the Shakti mantra in the Tripura tradition takes place.
They are contained hidden among the 9 octads of names. The first octad is the first 8th Vasu and 13th syllable. The 5th octad is the 4th Veda, 10th Dik, and 14th Manu. The 6th octad is the 6th and 9th Rasa syllable. The last octad contains the 7th Ashva and 12th Surya syllable. The 3rd octad is connected with the 2nd syllable, the 4th with the 3rd, and it also resides in the 3rd Dvitiya Tatpara. 5th Buddha, 11th Ridra, and 15th Taifi, including the Bija, Reem, in the 6th, 7th, and 4th octad. This is the great cause, the wonderful form of Tripura. Having said this, the goddess Parmeshwari instantly disappeared. Then Kama, opening his eyes, looking around and not seeing her, fell into despondency. The dream seen by me is highly auspicious. This dream does not leave me, who contemplates the mother of the world. 6 months have already passed since I have been practicing, and I don't even sleep at night. Thinking so, he tried to realize what he saw in the dream and decided then to neglect the 15-syllable vidya contained in the stotra of names and thought that it was unnecessarily. Then a disembodied voice said, "O Kama, you must not neglect this." Kama heard a clear voice from the heavens, and then contemplate again and again, but do not come to a conclusion, remembering Mother Rama. Then Lakshmi, remembering Kama, appeared beside him and, standing before him, said, "O Kama, why did you remember me?" Seeing Rama arrive, Kama bowed to her with palms folded at his chest and told his mother about the dream he had and the voice from the sky. After listening to him, she immersed herself in contemplation for a long time and, with a pleased face, said, "My son Kama, you are fortunate. You have attained the desired perfection. Tripura spoke to you in your dream, so cut away your doubts and do as you were told." Having said this, she vanished instantly.
So, Kama, practicing the sadhana of the secret mantra, the sadhana of the Shakti mantra vidya, gained the experience of the deity's approach. This experience of the deity's approach can happen in meditation or in a dream, as it did with Kama. For example, you have a dream in which Dattatreya comes to you. And you must distinguish, is this Dattatreya created by a projection of your mind, or is it the cosmic Dattatreya, deeper and more true? And viveka is needed to discern. Because if you see a samsaric dream in which the mind produces the image of a deity, it's not worth much. It's just a pure samsaric dream. But if you see a dream of clarity, then this dream of clarity will inevitably lead you to a dream of clear light, connected with the deity. We are not talking about dreams of fundamental ignorance for now. So, Tripura Sundari manifests in 3 forms, as the 8-year-old Bala Tripura Sundari, the 16-year-old Shaudashi Tripura Sundari, who resides on a kind of couch or bed, a canopy over Sadashiva. And the next form is as the young Mother Ambika.
Then Kama began to practice this vidya with a focused mind. After 3 divine years, Maheshwari appeared before him. Looking at Manmatha, who was steadfastly restraining his senses, motionless, fasting, and balancing his breath, she, being a stream of light, out of grace, took the body of Rama for instruction and contemplation, and said, "Kama, my son, what do you desire? Ask of me." Hearing this voice and opening his eyes, he saw the goddess Tripura in that mind-pleasing form he had contemplated, full of light, and he plunged into an ocean of bliss. Thus ends the 24th chapter in the Mahatmya Kanda of the Tripura Rahasya.
Guruji, regarding dreams for discernment, Is it correct to say, for example, that Dattatreya, who appears as a creation of the mind, is at the level of the Pranamaya Kosha or the Manomaya Kosha, for instance?
Manomaya.
Manomaya Kosha, okay. And can this Dattatreya from the Manomaya Kosha, well, give some kind of real blessing?
Well, it's better than seeing some demon or some worldly person imagined in the mind. Of course, it can lead the mind to the remembrance of Dattatreya, to the remembrance of the pure state. Yes, that's good. But he can't do more than what's within the certain level of Manomaya Kosha. Like, for example, showing Jiva a clear light.
And is the clear light seen only from Anandamaya Kosha, causal body? Or does Vijnana, mental, work too?
As they say, this mystery is a great one. The time has not yet come to speak of this. You must gain the corresponding experience.